The news didn't break through a formal press release or a carefully staged interview. It surfaced the way so many modern sports earthquakes do through a podcast clip that spread like wildfire across social media. Rory McIlroy, sitting casually across from Gary Neville, Roy Keane, and Jamie Carragher on the overlap, made a statement that instantly sent shockwaves through professional golf. This was the same Rory McIlroy who once called LIV Golf players selfish and naive. The same Rory who positioned himself as the PGA Tour's most vocal defender during the height of the golf civil war. The same Rory who openly questioned the character and values of anyone willing to take Saudi money. And now, without hesitation, he said he would welcome LIV players back, no suspensions, no fines, no penalties. Just open the doors and let them return. Within minutes. The clip was everywhere. Golf Twitter erupted. Group chats among players buzzed with confusion, anger, and disbelief. Tour officials quietly scrambled behind the scenes, trying to gauge what this meant for ongoing negotiations. Fans who had spent years fiercely defending one side suddenly found themselves questioning whether the battle lines they'd drawn were about to disappear entirely. Because when Rory McIlroy changes his position on something this fundamental, it doesn't just create headlines, it forces the entire sport to rethink where it's heading. The timing couldn't have been more explosive. Just 2 weeks earlier, Brooks Koepka stunned the golf world by announcing his departure from LIV Golf. The 5-time major champion, who reportedly still had a year left on a contract worth over $100 million, cited family reasons and a desire to spend more time at home. According to ESPN, Koepka informed the PGA Tour of his intentions before making the news public and formally applied for reinstatement shortly afterward. The PGA Tour responded with a carefully worded statement, calling Koepka a highly accomplished professional, while emphasizing that the tour continues to offer the most competitive and lucrative environment in golf. It was a classic non-answer, polite, diplomatic, and revealing nothing about what would actually happen next. That uncertainty is precisely where McIlroy's comments detonated. Speaking on the overlap, in early January 2026, McIlroy didn't hedge. According to Yahoo Sports, he said LIV players had already paid a price through damaged reputations, lost opportunities, and what they gave up by leaving. If bringing players like Bryson DeChambeau back made the PGA Tour stronger, he said he'd be fine with it. He did acknowledge that not everyone shared his position, and that the decision would ultimately rest with the collective PGA Tour membership. That statement represents a stunning reversal. This is the same McIlroy who once described Phil Mickelson as selfish, egotistical, and ignorant for joining LIV. Back in 2022, when LIV first emerged as a serious threat, Rory didn't just oppose it, he fought it. He spoke passionately at player meetings, delivered fiery press conferences, and framed the conflict in moral terms. He questioned whether LIV players should even be allowed to compete in major championships. To Rory, then, accepting guaranteed contracts wasn't just a business decision. It was a betrayal of golf's competitive soul. So what changed? First, LIV didn't collapse the way many critics predicted. McIlroy himself once suggested it wouldn't last, that fans wouldn't embrace the format, sponsors wouldn't stick around, and the whole thing would eventually implode. Instead, LIV secured broadcast deals, maintained audiences, and most importantly kept paying players. When something you expect to fail becomes a permanent part of the landscape, it forces a reassessment. Second, the human factor became impossible to ignore. These weren't faceless enemies on a rival tour. They were friends, Ryder Cup teammates, practice partners, and longtime competitors. Writing people off permanently is easy in theory, much harder in reality. McIlroy appears to have realized that treating former colleagues as lifelong outcasts isn't sustainable for him personally or for the sport as a whole. Third, and perhaps most critically, Brooks Koepka's exit from LIV changed everything. Sky Sports reported that Koepka's departure was a significant blow to LIV, especially as it continues to fight for world ranking points. McIlroy himself acknowledged that seeing the best players together only 4 or 5 times a year at majors and Ryder Cups isn't enough. For golf to remain relevant, elite players need to compete against each other more often. That's a practical conclusion, not an ideological one. McIlroy has also been candid about his own evolution. In early 2024, he admitted he had been too judgmental. Not everyone, he said, is in the same financial or career position as him or Tiger Woods. When you're offered double the money to do the same job, turning it down isn't easy. That level of self-reflection is rare, especially from someone whose public identity was built on unwavering loyalty. Koepka's situation has now become the test case for this new thinking. CBS Sports reported that he applied for reinstatement less than a month after leaving LIV. While the PGA Tour technically has policies governing suspensions for unauthorized events, enforcement has never been tested at this scale. Will punishments be imposed? Will decisions be made case by case? Or will the tour quietly move toward amnesty? McIlroy's argument is clear. Punishment serves no real purpose. LIV players, in his view, have already paid a meaningful price professionally, socially, and reputationally. If welcoming them back strengthens the product, that should be the priority. Billy Horschel echoed similar sentiments, suggesting that this shift isn't isolated. Influential voices across the tour are arriving at the same conclusion. Bryson DeChambeau's situation adds even more uncertainty. According to Golf Magic, he plans to play LIV in 2026, but hasn't committed beyond that. His reported $120 million contract expires after the season, and he's been openly critical of the league's direction. DeChambeau has even said he could walk away and focus on YouTube golf, where he has more than 2.5 million subscribers. Combined with Koepka's departure, that instability raises serious questions about LIV's long-term future. McIlroy hasn't shied away from that reality. According to Golf Monthly, he questioned how long LIV can continue after spending billions without meaningful returns. With reported losses exceeding $1.1 billion and total investment projected near $5 billion by the end of 2025, even Saudi-backed funding isn't infinite. McIlroy's tone has shifted from defensive to analytical. Where he once sounded threatened, he now sounds detached, assessing LIV as a costly experiment that fractured the game without fully capturing the public imagination. Context matters, too. McIlroy's Masters victory in April 2025 completed the career Grand Slam and capped what he described as the best year of his career. When you're operating from a position of accomplishment rather than insecurity, it's easier to extend olive branches. His credibility is unshakable. He's not advocating change out of desperation. He's doing it from strength. His involvement in TGL, the tech-driven league he co-founded with Tiger Woods, reinforces that shift. Asked whether Brooks Koepka could be part of TGL, McIlroy didn't hesitate. He praised Koepka as one of the best players of the generation and said there would be room if he wanted to play. That's not diplomacy, that's inclusion. World ranking points remain a massive obstacle. LIV's decision to move back to 72-hole events in 2026 underscores how much legitimacy still matters. McIlroy didn't miss the irony, pointing out that LIV is now adopting the very structure it once mocked. If the only real difference is guaranteed money, what exactly makes it revolutionary? Meanwhile, broader negotiations between the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund remain unresolved. The framework agreement announced in 2023 never became a final deal, leaving the sport stuck in limbo. Individual players like Koepka are now navigating unclear pathways back, forcing the tour to confront questions and hope to delay. Fan reaction has been predictably divided. Some praise McIlroy for maturity and leadership. Others accuse him of hypocrisy or self-interest. And there's a fair point buried in that criticism. Not every tour player has McIlroy security. For fringe players, an influx of returning stars could threaten livelihoods. What's undeniable is that McIlroy's comments mark a turning point. The most influential active golfer not named Tiger Woods has effectively declared that punishment is no longer productive and that coexistence or reunification may be the only realistic path forward. That doesn't guarantee resolution, but it changes the conversation. The debate has shifted from if LIV players should return to how and when. And that shift alone suggests professional golf may finally be moving toward an endgame one shaped less by anger and absolutes and more by practicality, compromise, and the reality that the sport is bigger than any one tour, contract, or grudge.